Hey, what's happening? Kenan here. We've seen Galapagos tortoises before on the show. We've seen breeders like Jerry Fife out in Arizona, but today it's about the 3J's Tortoise Sanctuary down here somewhere in an undisclosed location in South Florida. And you guys have produced some baby galops, and we're gonna get to see them and figure out just what they're doing here to make these animals, these endangered animals, reproduce. Raisin's gonna be a mom.
There are two things I've loved most in this life: bikes and reptiles. Now I crisscross the globe learning about all kinds of incredible animals. Sometimes I know what I'm doing. Other times I'm in over my head. But one thing's for certain, we'll come away a whole lot smarter after every adventure. This is Camp Kenan.
So you hear me talk about it all the time on the show. I love natural habitats. That's part of the key, getting the Galapagos to breed, huh? And I noticed you've really done a great job with the space you have and creating some elements that they like. Talk me through it a little bit.
Well, I appreciate the compliment. Basically, what 3J's is trying to strive is to create as close to a natural habitat as we could for these guys. Coming from the Galapagos Islands, their natural behavior is to climb high altitudes, climb mountains, climb over hills. So we tried to incorporate, Florida being a very flat area.
State, definitely.
We tried to incorporate various hills.
And I see you got some over here, man.
We got
It's
some
really
here,
cool.
and basically that actually came from the advice of Jerry Fife, who basically said that a big part of Galapagos tortoises in captivity is to keep them active and in condition.
Yep.
So you get a lot of obese animals, including tortoises, in captivity because they're lazy, they're not exercising.
It's true. It's such a bummer, and you also get that hip displacement. They have bad posture, and we've talked about it on the show. And also, he mentioned Jerry Fife. Look back in season 1, you can see what he does for his galops. But that's why I was so excited to come down here, because you guys in Florida have been having some really fantastic successes.
Yeah.
Let's take a walk over here, though. I mean, I love this enclosure, man. It's just got a lot of grays.
No, I appreciate that.
I also, something else you got to point out. Take a look back at Raisin as she's walking out. You see how he suspends the hay bales? Really good, because it's moving like a branch would.
Yeah.
It forces the animals to stand up and really do a lot of work. And you can jack that up higher.
I do. I change it all the time.
Yeah.
It's part of my environmental ritual protocol for tortoises.
Yeah.
Is those things get changed and repositioned to the height and the location on the tree, and we have various different subspecies of galops here. Some like to actually specialize in feeding on high, low-hanging fruits, leaves, etc. Some like to graze on the ground, and we really can see the differences in some of their feeding behaviors.
That's incredible.
Depending on what subspecies is on the feeder.
And this time of day, it's extremely hot, and there's nothing cooler than seeing tortoises move in and out and displaying their natural behavior. And here we have a pair. I don't know if they're both male, female, but I think this is
both females.
These are both female. Yeah. Now, is this one of the animals that is laid for you?
Yes, that is Isabella. She's one of our females that pretty much regularly lays eggs. 2 nights ago, she happened to have laid 15 eggs.
15 eggs.
Beautiful eggs.
And now, how many times will they, like my sulcatas can sometimes lay up to 5 clutches per season. How many clutches are you getting per season out of one female?
The most I've seen was 5.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. But on average, 3 to 4, I would say, is the average clutch amount each year.
Wow, that's incredible, man.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, these animals look great. I love it.
No, I appreciate that. We've got the clutch size typically averages between 9 and 16 eggs so far. That's what we've had so far.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, and they're like, pool cue ball size eggs. They're giant eggs. They probably hold about between 60 and 85 cc's. If you were to drain them,
that's how much they're holding.
That's the volume of those eggs. They're just giant, massive eggs.
Wow, this is Bailey, by the way. This is not a Galapagos tortoise.
Yeah, no. What are you doing?
Well, listen, man, we've seen the adults. We love the enclosure. Let's have a look at the fruits of your labor, man.
Come on, come on.
So, I mean, this is just, to be perfectly honest, guys, I'm a little flabbergasted, because this is actually the very first time that I'm seeing a Galapagos hatchling proper. I mean, this guy hatched out when?
These guys pipped out of the egg. First, started breaking out of the egg about 6 days ago.
6 days old, man.
Yeah.
my goodness. And now this one actually, if you guys focus in on this little guy in his left hand, may I?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, well, look at this little dude. So this little guy right here, actually you may not have been born had you not intervened in some way, right?
Yeah, actually, that is the first time I've ever done this with a Galapagos tortoise egg, but this egg came out cracked from the female. Wow. And I catch the eggs basically falling out of them. So this egg was cracked, and it also had a very unusual eggshell texture. It was like real pitted, thin, and brittle. It almost looked like somebody had sandblasted it.
Huh.
You know, so I basically repaired the egg, took our chances, and lo and behold, 96 days later, it's our fastest pipping Galapagos tortoise.
So you see that?
Yeah, she hatched out really early. She's definitely a little smaller than most of the babies that come out.
That won't last long.
No, that won't last long.
The other cool thing about the baby that I'm noticing is it's almost got like a little bit of a pattern. You know, there's some different colors in the shell right there. It still has, look, it still has its umbilicus here, its umbilical, and it's also got the egg tooth. I mean, they're so tiny, and it's incredible to think that it will one day become a giant like the animals behind us. And you know, look, I know Jason. Jason, we've met him before when we talked about the lemurs.
Right.
And you just see how much love and intensity that you have for creating really cool habitats. And it's so awesome because, guys, what you don't know is that usually around 11:30 at night, I get updates from Jason.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, I get random text messages of like, look at these eggs. You know, the 15 eggs that happened a couple nights ago. And that's why I thought, you know, we got to get down here.
Yeah.
We got to see what he's up to at the 3J's Tortoise Reserve. You know, these animals are for sale. They're endangered animals, so you got to make sure that if you're out of state, you have a captive wildlife permit. Both the seller and the buyer need to have that. If you do live in the state of Florida, you can purchase one of these animals, and the goal is to get as many people to be stewards of these animals.
Exactly.
And like yourself, you can reproduce them because you're looking at an endangered animal. This is
Exactly.
incredible.
Not only are we looking at an endangered animal, but we're looking at an endangered animal that's endemic to an island.
Right, which is even worse.
Which is even worse. One bad bacteria, virus, injury, volcano eruption, and now we lost the whole population.
Right.
So it is critical to have well experienced and licensed people and facilities around the United States caring for these guys. And like, they don't become sexually mature until they're 20 to 30 years old, depending whether they're male or female. So these guys are going to eventually be in somebody's will, I hope, down the road, and hopefully they'll be reproducing these animals as well.
Hopefully you'll will them to me because I'm a little bit younger.
You're on the will for sure.
I don't think I am. But anyway, guys, congratulations to Jason.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Definitely. If you have any comments, leave them in the section below. Jason will be peeking, and he might even answer a few for you.
I might. I'll check them out.
Don't forget to check me out at Camp Kennan on Instagram, Facebook, and now on Periscope. So watch that. Yeah, we're doing some live broadcasts, folks.
Nice.
Thanks so much for joining me. Say goodbye to the little Galapagos tortoise baby.